Let me just say, winter, so not my season.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells. No.
Hi, welcome back to the weekly vlog about rejection. I have excuses, okay, it's winter. What that means for me is I leave my home for 5 minutes to take out the trash or go buy some life-sustaining supplies at the store, and I come back home with sinusitis. My head hurts, my sinuses are stuffy, and I really don't want to do anything I don't absolutely have to do. And since there's nobody there sitting and waiting for the vlog to appear on Saturday, I figured I can just, allow myself this time to not do it. Also, there was Christmas and all the other stuff. I wasn't home, and you know how it is. I mean, there is a reason why when I did 2 episodes in a row, week after week, I was impressed with myself. This is the reason. I mean, I could promise I would try to do better in the future, but it's still winter. I may still lose my will to live if I have to go buy food, so no promises. I'll try, but I can't promise. And yes, I've been to Dr. Google MD to ask about it, and he told me it might be an issue with the enlarged third tonsil. Did you even know we had 3 tonsils? I always thought we had 2 of them, but apparently there is a third one and it can be enlarged, and then it gives you similar symptoms to what I'm having. So I thought, that could be a good result. I could get it removed or whatever and problem solved. So I went to the doctor, I had some scans, she shone light into my nose and she said, nah, there is no third tonsil issue, it just sucks to be you. So basically I have some thin membrane or whatever there, and that's it. Though apparently there are people who have thin membrane or thick membrane or whatever membrane issues in their sinuses or around that actually makes their head hurt when they approach the sea. It sucks to be them even more, to be honest, because while I don't bemoan not being able to go into the frost and freeze my ass off, I would definitely be rather sad if I couldn't go to the seaside. So I guess silver lining, right? Okay, but I'm not here to divulge interesting medical tidbits to you. But if you are into that kind of thing, I can recommend you a channel called the Chubby Emu. He's, I believe, a doctor who also talks to other doctors, collects interesting, rare medical cases, and then puts them together in the form of easily digestible videos. For instance, what happens when you eat too many gummy vitamins, or if you try to cut out your own skin cancer, or if you drink a lava lamp, or if you're just a poor sod who ate an unfortunate batch of old pasta. Stuff like that. What happened? How did the doctors find out what happened? How did they cure the patient? What became of them? Very cool stuff. It's like House MD, just real life, real cases, and without the drama. So very much recommended. I have watched all of his videos, so I'm always waiting for a new one, and he still posts, so there's that. My goodness, I just can't get to the point today, can I? Okay, the point. So in the last episode I talked about the origins of the New Amazing Nightmare, my mind baby of a book. In this episode I will talk about what became of it. What happened after I have finally finished writing and revising it and figured it was time to ship it off into the world. And it's going to probably be the most difficult episode of this entire series that I will be making. Yes. And I have mentioned on my Facebook page that there will be something special in here, and I did want to put it at the start, but after going over what I want to talk about and when and the whole construction, I figured it will fit better a little bit later. But yes, it is coming, and my goodness, was it a long time coming. So without further ado, let's get right into the meat of it. Okay, so I believe I've mentioned it before, but for the narrative coherency, let me just repeat myself a little bit. Yes, everything began with research. I started to dig into the Google's treasury of knowledge to find out what I should do with my finished book. And the more I read, the more I was learning that the book was pretty much dead on arrival. Because A, I was a debut author. B, the book was too long, like twice as long as it should have been. And 3, it was not standalone, and it could not be made into a standalone book, because while it has an overarching arc inside it that finishes, and it has, arms, legs and head, Making it a standalone novel is just not good because the story just begins and all the actual interesting stuff is just being set up. Because it's also honestly quite complicated and it's one of those books where you have like a bajillion characters that each puts their piece of the puzzle into the big old bag of puzzles, and then at the end you shake it all off and it falls into place magically, right? Well, not magically, hopefully. I hate Deus Ex Machinas. Machinae? Whatever. So I couldn't query the whole series. I could only query the first book of the novel that alone didn't make a lot of sense, and well, it looked honestly pretty hopeless. Now there is that special breed of people out there who have this innate strength that allows them to live by the saying, if they close the door in your face, climb in through the window. And by my goodness, I don't mean that literally, don't go and burgle people, but a person like that, when they tell you, you can't do this, we don't want books like yours, we are not interested in it, or anything else, like you can't work here, we don't need anyone with your skill set, we don't need you in our company, the person really wants to be there, so they're like, you don't want me? No, you do want me. You want me really bad, and they will remind those people every day, one way or the other, until they are let in. And either it is because people actually appreciate the investment and the perseverance, and they're like, well, they care so much, they will probably be good for us, even though we don't really need them, per se. Or they're like, my god, fine, let them in, just make them shut up because I can't take it anymore. I'm suffering here because they are suffering for not being here. So it doesn't always work, of course, and it makes them incredibly annoying people, but I have heard so many stories of that thing working. I can tell you honestly, it's much better than being what I am. I am not one of those amazing people with their innate strength. I am one of the people who's like, oh my god, he looked at me funny. I better remove myself from the situation lest I be a bother to someone. So when somebody tells me I'm not needed or I am being a hindrance or whatever, even if they don't tell it to my face, just leave it under agent bio, I'm like, okay, and I go away. Because I'm pathologically averse, I have a pathological aversion to bothering people. I don't know why, it's just like that. So after reading all of this, after reading all the blog posts and all the posts on the forums and all the bios, I was like, yeah, okay, this doesn't make sense. I will not be bothering all those agents sending them my query for a novel that they just don't want to see. But I remember I did send one. I was like, okay, so if I have to send it, I will just do it my way, because in every bloody movie you've watched, in every game, in every goddamn anime, when somebody really wants something and they really try and they really believe and they see this one opportunity, they do it and it works out. So I was like, okay, let's try. So I wrote a query about the whole story. I didn't bother writing just the first book because I figured it just doesn't, it has no point. So if I'm going to send one, at least I'm going to send it the way I think it sounds interesting. So I wrote the dumbest query, and of course I gave the word count, I gave the whole spiel, this is not a standalone book. So but I found an agent, a lady from a good agency, where her bio just seemed so perfect for my book. Like her list of I like this, I was like, check. I got all of this in my book. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm living in an anime, I'm not living in an anime. I never got a response, which was really predictable, and no hard feelings towards her interns that read it. But that was the end of my query adventure for the new Amazing Nightmare, though I have spent a long time writing that query. I think it actually was when I was writing the new Amazing Nightmare query that I was talking to my friend who's also writing in English and who also was he was writing his own query at the time, or he had written one a little bit earlier. Either way, he was familiar with the struggle, and I remember just trying to get it done late at night, and I was being so frustrated because the whole process of doing that is just soul crushing. And I think I was trying to write one for just a single book, and I was just trying so many things, and I was so done with it. I remember for some reason I took a photo of myself with a jar of Nutella on my head and a spoon with Nutella in my mouth. I mean, I was just holding and the Nutella was out there, and it's the worst photo I have ever made of myself. It's so bad. I just look like I have crawled out of a dog's ass and he chewed me up and then ate me and spit me out. I look horrible, and I just titled that photo "The Query Writing State of Mind," and I will never show it to you. I will never show it to anyone. My friend who was writing the query saw it, and I think I showed it to another friend of mine once upon a time. That's it. Although maybe if I once become a famous published author, then I will post this photo publicly, and it will be an encouragement to all the young people who are suffering doing it, to show them, yes. But you know, since this blog exists and seeing how everything goes for me, you're not seeing that photo. Ever. Okay, so what then? I couldn't query the novel to the agents. I couldn't really query it to the publishers because, you know, everybody says you need an agent and publishers won't take it, and most publishers don't even take unsolicited submissions, and even if they do, they probably want the query too. So I was like, and you know what? Actually, when you think about it, those interns reading the queries are probably happy to receive ones like that. They open it and they see like word count. Oh, okay, throw it out, you know, fast work, easy. So I was like, well, shit. But I wasn't ready to give up. I'm not somebody who will take years of my work and the story I was basically living in my head, because that's what I do, that's how I live my life, in my head, away from everything that's actually real. I wouldn't just throw it out into the dumpster and forget about it. Nah. So I figured I had two options. Well, really I had one, but let's see. For the sake of the argument, for the sake of this discussion, I had two options. One of them was Vanity Publishing and one of them was self-publishing. And I have never considered Vanity Publishing, but since I think it's quite an important topic, let's talk about that for a moment, because people very often, at least here in Poland, they very often confuse the two, and that's not good. So what is Vanity Publishing? Vanity Publishing has its name quite aptly chosen. It is publishing for people who just want to see their name on the book cover. They don't care about quality, they don't really care about, I mean, they may care about it, but not like care enough to try hard enough. Their primary goal is to get published, and it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. Now, I don't know how common Vanity Publishing is abroad, but I know in Poland, especially in the last few years, it's become pretty damn common, and it's not a good thing. How it works: when you publish your book with a trade publisher, a legit trade publisher, they pay you. You give them your text, your work, they do whatever they do with it, they publish it, and they get money from the readers, and then they pay you royalties, and perhaps in advance, obviously, but they pay you. That's the point. That's the one big thing that you can tell a legit trade publishing from a Vanity Publishing by. Vanity Publisher, on the other hand, you, the author, you pay them to publish your book. And then they promise you, you know, higher royalties, whatever the hell. Doesn't matter. The thing is, you can write the biggest, most hot steaming pile of garbage and have it published at the Vanity Publishing house. Perhaps nowadays they would be a little bit more weary about publishing extra bad things that are clearly, purposefully garbage, because they don't want to be bust it or whatever. But in general, if you write something that could be considered a book that somebody might want to write, you're good. I know that in, I believe it was in America, a bunch of writers have spotted one of those vanity publishers, and they've read the bio of them, and they were like, we only publish good books, it's a really hard selection, and we really care about the quality of it, and all of that. And they were like, they don't, and they wanted to bust them, so they put together a book called The Atlanta Nights. And I don't quite remember if it was half-bought or if one of the authors each wrote a chapter and then they just slapped it together without a mite of sense, because, you know, it was just random stuff written by random authors, different styles, different personalities of the characters, I think just the names checked out, and they just sent it to the publisher, and the publisher was like, great job! I love it! And that's where the problem is, because at its core, the practice of vanity publishing is extremely predatory. It preys mostly on the young people, on maybe some older people not in the know, on people who are outside of industry, who have no idea what's happening. Those people might not even know to send their book to a trade publisher first. I wouldn't be surprised to hear they have sent books to the Vanity Publishing house that have not been rejected before. Because vanity publishing houses will try to advertise themselves, because this is a product they're selling. Meanwhile, the trade publishers don't really need to do that. They have their books to advertise them, and writers will seek them out actively. So you have this young person, let's say an 18-year-old boy or girl who has written their first novel, and they are extremely excited. And their family is telling them it's great, it's awesome. Their friends are like, yeah, you've written a book, congratulations, that's amazing. You should publish it. And either they will send it to a trade publisher who will ignore it because the first book it just might not be up to the standards. Or they will just fall prey to some advertising and they will send it to a vanity publisher. And the book is bad, let's say, right? Because we're not talking about young geniuses who will actually write a valuable book that everyone would gladly publish and readers will love. Those people, they got it good. They don't need our concern. We're talking about your average Joe who has written their first book and it's just not very good. And they send it to a vanity publisher and they say, wow, this is an amazing book. I haven't read something this good in a while. I think it has a great marketing potential. We can make it amazing. You just have to pay us $2,000 for it, or $5,000 for it, or whatever price they can give you. And it can be quite a hefty sum. It can be like, I think 10,000 złotych in Poland, which is a lot of money. Like, you can buy a car for twice as much. It's not going to be a new car, it's not going to be a great car, but it's gonna be a car. It could be a car for the young person, you know. And they will want to pay this. They can try to make a crowdfunding thing, or worse, they will just have their family go into debt. Because a lot of people, they can't afford this kind of money to just, you know, give for a project like this, but they will want the best for their children. The grandparents give those children money, the parents who cannot really, they have trouble paying the rent and bills and all the food and everything, all the expenses, and they will try to pay for this publishing deal because they think that since the child got such an amazing review about their book, it must be great, that it will sell, that it will open the doors to a career. And I find this awful. It's scummy, it's scammy, it's just wrong, you know. And the same thing can happen to older people. Of course, you can be 30 or 40 or 50 and you can just produce a book that you love, and when you hear something so good about it, it just fills you with so much hope that you will want to pay this money for it. And if at least they publish those books right, but they don't. You're not going to get a great editor that will content edit your book and tell you where you went wrong, what should be written better, which character is obnoxious, which is unnecessary, which scenes you should shorten or lengthen, or which plot you should focus on. They will not do any of that. Because that is a lot of work. That's a work that a good editor at a good publishing house will do for a good book, or for a very famous author that will sell the book anyway. A Vanity Publishing house, they don't care to do stuff like that. They already got their money, because readers aren't their clients. They are not preparing a good book for the readers to buy, so that, the word of mouth spreads and everybody buys the book because it's so good, it's well edited, it's well written, it's well prepared and printed. They don't care, because the writer is their client. So what they have to do is to con the writer into paying them the money, and then they're good. Then they are in the clear. Then it's the writer's problem. So you get shoddy editing. You get shoddy line editing, which is, fixing the language and all the little stuff there. You may get a good cover. They do sometimes get good cover, because if you want to, pay the publishing house, the first thing you will look at is how their books look. Those authors will not go and read the books the publisher is publishing. They will look at the covers, and when the covers are pretty, and let me tell you, some of them are great. I have seen some covers from a Vanity publisher, and they were just swell. And they will see like, oh, these covers are so great, this must be such a professional job. So they will give you a great cover, shoddy editing, and then they will just push the book out. If you're lucky, you may get your books distributed half decently, but there's not going to be a lot of them. And it's just a waste of money. It's a scam. And the more people realize this, the better. Because I have met people that have asked me about this, who wanted to go this route, and I told them, please don't. Because here's the thing. It not only will cost you the money, because whatever, I suppose if you're not really struggling, you can just swallow the loss, right? Over time, even though it is a lot of money. For someone like me, for instance, that would be a ton of money. And the problem is, your reputation may suffer too. Some of the authors published in Vanity Publishing houses did have troubles publishing their books later. Some of them got out of the swamp, but some of them stay in it because the readers might not like the name if they haven't encountered the book before, so in a way, the shittier this distribution you get, the better when it comes to Vanity Publishing. And to publishing houses may be like, oh, he published in this or that Vanity house. Well, we have so many other books to read and so many other books to publish. Why should we bother with this name? It's tainted. So you might have to use a pen name at some point if you wanted to publish it and you actually wrote a good next book. I mean, of course, it's hard to say if you will have reputation troubles after Vanity Publishing, but you may, and you will have to pay for them. You will have to pay your hard-earned money to then receive reputation issues, so it's just not worth it. Just don't do it. And I understand if, let's say, you are an older person, you are just an adult, right? You have your own money, and you decide to write a book that's very niche. For instance, it's for 100 people you've met on a forum somewhere, and you just want the book for them, right? Or you wrote a book about, I don't know, carpet scratching habits of meerkats, right? Nobody gives a fuck aside of like 10 people in the entire world. Okay, Vanity publish it. They will give you a nice cover, and none of those meerkat people will actually care about line editing and content editing very much. They just want to know what you know about those meerkats, right? So whatever, just go to them if that's your case. But even then, to be perfectly honest, just go find some artist, commission a cover, and then go to the printers and just print the book for those 100 of people. And just don't let those scammers get your money. So that's Vanity Publishing. That's how I see it. If you see it differently, if you disagree, by all means feel free to disagree, but I'm afraid you won't convince me. Self-publishing, on the other hand, can be as cheap as $0 It basically means you do it all yourself. And that doesn't mean you do it all yourself. You can commission an artist for a cover. You can commission an editor to do content editing. You can commission an editor to do line editing. You can commission somebody to put your book together. Anything and everything. But the point is, you do it alone, you have control over it, you don't pay any scammer to do it for you. And if you have money to spare, and you don't want to go trade publishing route, either because nobody wants your book or because you don't need the publishers. For instance, you're a celebrity, or you're somebody with a huge social media platform, so you're an internet celebrity, and you will have 1,000 people buy your book regardless, so you don't really have to share your commission with a trade publisher. They would want you to. They will write on their pages, some of the agents. I did see some of the agents write, tell us if you have a big publishing platform or if you have great marketing, and tell us about your marketing schemes and whatever. So like, why would you need them, right? So in that case, self-publishing might be a good option. So don't go to a vanity publishing house, just pay some people to do this. There's not that many things they have to do. And there are plenty of freelancers out there who will do a banging job of it. So depending on your on your funds, this could be a way to go. And if you don't have any money and you really want to publish your book, for instance as an ebook, this is such a better route. I mean, at least it won't make a teenager go broke or put a strain on their family. They can put their book up, they can draw their own cover if they want. It's good, it's not harmful. So, and even if in the future they write a proper book and they will want to go trade publishing, you just don't mention that you self-published something if it didn't sell, if you just put it on some webpage or forum or whatever. It won't hurt your reputation, because it's just something you did. They will just look at it. Yeah, they tried, right? It was their self-published thing, like a fan fiction almost, right? There is no harm, no loss, no anything. So this is definitely the better route. And while self-publishing has the reputation of being very questionable quality of material, because it does not have to be edited, there are more and more self-published books that are really well written and well edited and well published. There are self-published books that are printed out and distributed by people who could afford to do this. So it is getting more and more legit year by year, and I don't think there is any reason to look down on people who self-publish successful books. And I'm saying successful because I don't mean to say that every self-published book is a success. It's not. If you self-publish a book like I have done and put it on Amazon and then nobody finds it, well, it's not a success. It's not anything really. It's like it doesn't exist. But that's still better than, Vanity Publishing, right? At least you are not a sucker. You might be a failure, but you're not a sucker. So between the marvels of self-publishing with mind-blowing covers, impeccable editing, great content and flawless distribution, and the $0 masterpieces slapped on the random pages on the internet and forgotten about, where was I? Well, somewhere in the middle. See, I'm a perfectionist. If left unchecked, I could be going over whatever I've written over and over and over and over and fixing it until the day I die. I just need a month or two to, reset my vision of the thing, and then I can see all the new mistakes and possibilities of changes, and it never ends. But under some pressures from the woman who birthed me, I have finally managed to stop doing that, and I have entered the next stage of trying to get this book published, ready to publish, whatever. And, well, my personality didn't change. So this stage I also wanted to do the best it could be. The problem was, as I am today, I was broke back then as well. So I didn't have the money to pay for all the commissioned things. I've always figured stupidly, as you can see during my rants about the Echo of Neg and Sal game project, I always figured I can do it all by myself, right? So I have drawn a cover. It's maybe not the best cover, and I would so make it differently today because I didn't have 1 or 2 months to just change my vision. I had years, so it would be getting a different cover, but that's what I have prepared that time, and I had 5 of them. Well, they weren't all drawn entirely, but they were sketched, so they like go and create a whole picture of 5 covers when you set them one beside the other, and those strings just go through 5 characters that are main characters in the novels. I had a printout of it somewhere, but I don't think I have them anymore. I gave them away. So I've drawn a cover. Then I have used some help from my mom's friend to help me put the text together in InDesign. He taught me a little bit about InDesign, and I have put the book together so that it actually looks decent, right? It looks decent in an ebook, it looks decent in print. I was gonna say it looks pretty damn good in print. It looks pretty professional because I just sat and just made sure every page just ends properly. There are never any hanging paragraphs, nothing like that. All is well. Sorry about the more frequent cuts now, but the sinusitis is rearing its ugly head and I just have to pause it to cough. So I have also drawn some images for inside the book because of course I had to go all out on making it as cool as I could possibly make it myself. There is, I think, 9 or 13 of them, probably 9 because it's my favorite number. No, they are spread across the entire book. It even has this fancy bookmark kind of thing, and it's a red ribbon, like, you know, on the cover, so it's all thematically fitting. I really thought I did it right, you know. And there was just one thing I couldn't do myself when it came to the actual book, and that was line editing. When it comes to content editing, I had a lot of help from my mom, who has read this book like 2 or 3 times. Whenever I have made a major revision, she read it and we talked about it. So I had quite a lot of content editing done through talking to her. Of course, it could be probably better or different if I was consulting with more people, as it always is when you have more brains thinking about something. But line editing is a different kind of beast. To line edit a book, you really have to know the language well. And I don't mean just know it well because you write in it or you speak or you're a native speaker. I could not line edit a book in Polish. Or in English, obviously. There's just no way. I don't have this kind of skill. It's a job, and there are some people who just have the eye for it. There was one, I think there was one lady that worked where my mom worked at a magazine that just had this laser vision when it came to seeing like a misplaced comma or a typo or a word that was out of place, you know, like just zooming in on those mistakes. Those people are special, and I don't think every line editor has that, or they don't have to have it. If you can keep the text clean and polished, it's all good. I mean, even the biggest magazines, you will find some typos in them because they don't have laser vision people just, you know, exterminating all the mistakes. But in general, you have to have a very good grip on the language. You have to be able to spot authors' mannerisms. You have to be able to spot misplaced tenses. All this kind of annoying things, of course, the commas, the bane of everyone's existence. So I figured publishing a book that is not line edited is just disrespectful towards the readers, because if somebody is to pay for a novel and I did want to sell it, then not for a huge price, just, you know, $5 a piece or whatever, I figured I want to deliver a worthwhile product. And I started to look for freelance editors. My goodness, were they expensive. The problem was, this is a thick as book, right? It's got, let me tell you, it's got like 600 pages of stuff. I even have dictionary and definitions at the end here, see? And the map and everything. Yeah, it's the longest book, 583 pages. So the problem with those line editors is that most of them you pay by a word. So those were quite hefty sums. Even the cheaper ones, they also would expect a lot of money. And I found one that was actually taking money for a book, not for page count or word count, but for just, you know, the whole thing. And it seemed kind of manageable. I thought, okay, I will try to crowdfund it. Crowdfunding seemed like the only option because even though it was cheap in comparison to others that were like multiply, it was like $5,000 to $6,000, which is an astronomical sum to me. That's the kind of money you can actually buy a half decent car for here. I could like renovate my entire place, buy an amazing PC and whatever for that kind of money. So that was like good joke. No. And even what the money was for this one that would just do the entire book, it was $1,500, which to me is still a lot of money, and I did not have anywhere near that kind of money. Though it's still like half of what I would pay for Vanity Publishing, let me tell you, like, more or less, like 1/3 of it. So either way, no go, right? So I figured everybody's crowdfunding their things now, so I can do that too, maybe, right? And what did I do? I tried to make it perfect. I've made a website. You can still see it. I mean, it's kind of dead, but it's still up there. I keep it up because I like it. I mean, it's dear to me, and maybe one day I will have some use for it. I have made a trailer, which you can actually watch on this very channel, and I will probably link it down below, because it was quite some work, and I have written the music for it. Well, music and written, but well, I suppose it counts, right? It's notes that make sounds that are kind of musical. And I have found some voice actors for it, the little bits there, because I was still in those little voice acting communities, so I knew how to do it. And I have learned a little bit of After Effects for it, which I have honestly probably learned a little bit too much, because there are too many effects at once, and they were so cool, I just had to put them all in. So flashy and shiny. So if you're interested in it, you can watch that. I have made a whole Indiegogo video about it, and you can also watch it. I kept it on this channel. I think it's unlisted because shame and embarrassment, but it's still there, and since this video goes up, I can just link it down below. And for the Indiegogo itself, I also made plenty of rewards for all the thresholds. I have made stickers, I have made printouts that I don't have anymore, printouts of the cover, printouts of all the 5 covers together, printout of just the main character with the logo. I have made a t-shirt that I'm wearing today to be thematic. Can you see it? I don't know. See, lamp, help. See? And on the back it even has the riddle that's actually chapter titles. I don't know how much of that could be seen, but you can actually see this t-shirt on my Twitter if you want, in its full glory, because I think I have posted it one day. So I have found a place that will make those t-shirts in nice shapes that are not just the boring t-shirt shape, but you can actually look like a girl in them if you want. There are obviously the boring male shaped too. I have made magical cups. When you pour hot liquid into them, the blackness turns into one of the art pictures I've made for the novel. I don't have anything hot here right now, but well, there's that. I have created printed books, right? And yes, when I have sinusitis, it's enough that I stand up and turn around and I am already out of breath, because that's how shit it is. Anyway, so I have made those hardcover printed books, right? That you could get, that are printed. I have also made a deck of cards, and you have 2 decks inside it with different, what's it called, the back sides of them, I don't remember, with the logo. Of course I made the logo for it, I made the symbolic logo for it, and the cards themselves, they are all made like this, custom made, and each figure, can't see anything, it's an actual character, right? Like this or like this, they are all characters from the novel. Can't see shit here. Excuse me. Let's shine some better light. Well, that's not a better light, that's a shittier light. I can't shine. Well, anyway, they all have those, and each color of course have different characters. So there is 12 characters, and all the aces also have specific things that fit, that came from the book, you know, the themes and whatnot. Here's even the Echo of Negensal ace that ties in with the game project. And they all have those, I remember just like this dude, for instance, the spade, he's using it as a cigarette because he smokes. And this dude has the club by his hat because he's got a hat, and the Joker is the main character, Sin Hale. Oh my god, this was so much work because I'm not great at drawing. It did not come that easily to me, but I have done my absolute best to do this. I found them and I have printed them to see if the set looked right, and when it looked right, I put it as one of the rewards, as well as all the other things. And with all of that, I thought I'd done well. I thought that if I posted this campaign that way, I have prepared the entire page of the campaign. Of course, you can still see that too, it's still on the Indiegogo, so if you're interested in it, you can just go and see it. It's archival part of my past. And I thought, with a campaign done this meticulously, that I have put everything I had into, that it would catch the eyes of strangers, that it would be a way to promote this self-published book. I really believed that. And it didn't happen. I did not know how to market it. I have tried using crowdfunding, word spreading services. I have tried sending emails to whatever place I could find where it seemed appropriate. People don't look kindly on others trying to advertise their crowdfunding campaigns for things like that are not charity on book forums or Reddits or whatever. So I didn't do that because an imposter syndrome or whatever, I did not want to be a bother, I did not want to be obnoxious. I didn't know how to spread the word about it, because I hoped that being on Indiegogo itself would help, because I really thought it was good. The campaign was good, I really thought so. And I don't think anyone found it. I don't think anyone's seen it or liked it. And the campaign succeeded. Don't get me wrong, it succeeded, but not because I managed to spread the word, but because there were people who knew me from my real life, from my internet life, and from voice acting I've done, that were so bloody kind that they chose to support this campaign. I want to thank 6 years too late, because there was one threshold, one reward that was for $10 that I have failed to complete, to deliver on. I have completed all of the other commitments from Indiegogo aside of this one, and this one was your name in a thank you video. And it's been 6 years or longer. I don't even know anymore, because I've been so fucking ashamed that I haven't managed to make this book a success after your support. I thought, I'm going to write a different book, right? I'm going to publish that, and then I'm going to make this video when I will also tell you about what I've managed to accomplish writing-wise, so I will just wait a little bit longer. I will do something that will make me not feel like such a fucking fool for wasting this opportunity or whatever, and then I will post this video. And well, here it goes in Rejection Chronicles, episode number 4. I want to thank the mysterious stranger. He never wanted to give his name publicly. He only wanted this moniker that I have actually understood years later after I've played Fallout. I want to thank Wade Lycan, who bought the card set, I remember. Thank you very much. I want to thank Matt Roper, with whom I still sometimes exchange a word or two. I want to thank Cindy Pichel. I want to thank Ashley Leifso. I want to thank Demen Maszewski, he's my real life friend. I want to thank Alex Gebetner, whom I haven't talked to in years, so I hope you're doing well, because we used to be pretty close, and well, life happens. I know, it happened to you, it happened to me, but I still remember you fondly. I want to thank Evan Bonior. I want to thank Bartosz Męciński. Don't add English R's to Polish names. But still my friend, we still talk every now and then. I want to thank William Weldy-Schoffer. I want to thank Aleksander Okorski. I want to thank Michelle Lonergan, who was actually mom of my friend Alex Gebetner. I want to thank Chris Takahashi, of course. He's been there all these years, back then too, and he supported the project. Good old Chris. I want to thank Łukasz Męciński, who's a brother of my friend, who even a brother of my friend supported me. See, some amazing people in my life. I want to thank Alexander Wallis. I want to thank Alessandra Chiong. We haven't talked in so long. I hope you're doing well. We used to be great friends, well, just online friends. She's from Philippines, and I will never forget trying to arrange meetings between me from Europe, Alessandra from Philippines, and our friend Mayra from Mexico City, or somewhere in Mexico, which was just ridiculous, 3 time zones, it couldn't be further apart. I want to thank Carly Taylor. I want to thank Gabriel Chia. I want to thank M.G. I want to thank Brandon Ritt, who, I'm sorry, I remember to this day, you said you really cared to see this video and you wanted this reward because you just like the idea of having your name as a thank you in a thank you video. So thank you, Brandon. I will send you the link to this, and finally I've delivered, right? I want to thank Igor the Stud Wicherek, who has waited for a long time for me to say that. And I want to thank Paulina Rygier, and I hope you're doing well as well. We haven't talked in a long time. It's been, my goodness, it just makes me realize how long it has to be since I haven't talked with so many of the people who have supported me. Then we never parted on any bad terms. It just, life happens, and being a social recluse happens, and friendships that are divided by entire time zones and oceans happen. And I also want to thank the members of my family who supported me there. My mom, of course, my father, my uncle, wujek Boguś. I want to thank Tomasz Danielewski, and I want to thank my stepfather, Paweł. You have all helped me You helped me save face, big time. And while today I may be ready-ish to face this and talk about this and say why I haven't posted this video earlier, I was not ready for this campaign to fail back then. It would have crushed me so hard. And while I don't think I will ever forgive myself for failing the way I did, I will just as long I will be grateful for your kindness in just believing in me and supporting this project. And I know not all of you had those money to give, really. And I just wish I had done better with it. So I'm sorry. I hope one day I will still do better, and I will show you that your support was worth it. But if you want to self-publish your book, or if you want to crowdfund a book, because it's easier to crowdfund flashy projects, okay? If you make a video game, if you make some kind of gizmo that does things. Books are specific, books are not flashy. Books are quiet, books are enjoyed in solitude, books are written in solitude. You can show a cover, you can write a blurb, but it's not easy to catch attention for a book when you're an unpublished author. Don't crowdfund your book unless you have a social platform. Or if you just want your people who know you to help you afford an editor or something, if that's something you want to do, great. Okay, you can do this. But if you think that crowdfunding your book will help it get off the ground and help it be noticed by other people, fat chance. I don't know what you'd have to do if you have no platform, if nobody knows about you, if you've written just a good book, right? Just a good book that's not some special memoir or something that will just stick out from the crowd because it's just so different, because it would probably have to be just some real life, one of a type story. If you've just written a good fiction book, this isn't the way to go, okay? Unless you're okay with just getting help from your close people. But had I known that this campaign would rely so heavily on the kind people in my life, I'd have never done this, because I've been feeling guilty ever since. And it sucks. And well, that's why it took so long to fulfill this reward, which also made me really feel awful at times. And I couldn't just, post a video, yeah, hey, it's been 6 years, here's the last reward, thank you to this, like, I mean, maybe I could, but it just seemed too late. At first I wanted to post this video with good news, and then it was just too late. So I think, well, yeah, surprise, that was what the Facebook post was about. And well, I think that's going to be it for this episode, right? Do I have anything else in my magical notes? Of course I make notes, right? I want every episode to be perfect. No, the ending is just as depressing in my notes as it is here, so... Every success story started with a dream. That's optimistic, right? He also says sleep is the best meditation, so I don't know what to think about that. Anyway, being a bummer, sorry, but on the bright side, let me tell you, I have not yet given up, not just yet, so I guess it's not really a horrible, sad ending, it is what it is. I mean, I am very well aware that probably it's because I'm dramatizing over it and nobody even remembers or gives a shit about supporting this anymore, but I always just wanted to, you know, prove that thank you, it helped, and now it's all swimming in success, and I can send everyone who pledged book 2 and book 3 and book 4 and book 5 because they are published. Okay. Next episode will be a much more fun one. Like I said, this one would be the most difficult of them all, and this is why. So, bye.